For all of 2023, I have immersed myself in the TMU, that's Toronto Mike universe. But today, in my last live show of the year, I'm visiting a different universe. I literally forgot how to say it when I got to it. How do you do it again?
Universe.
Universe. To be discussed.
I'm in Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto like we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love.
Welcome to episode 1401. That's 1401 of Toronto Mic'd. Proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. The Advantaged Investor Podcast from Raymond James Canada. Valuable perspective for Canadian investors who want to remain knowledgeable, informed, and focused on long-term success. Season 5 of Yes, We Are Open. An award-winning podcast for Moneris hosted by FOTM El Grego and Redley Funeral Home, pillars of the community since 1921. Today, joining me to talk all things Letterkenny and Shoresy and who knows what else and what that entails, it is the produce stand crew of Victor, Matt, Tanya, and Al Grego. Welcome, everybody.
How are you now?
We'll get to this language I'm hearing. Okay, we'll get to this. But let me say hi. So let me tell the listenership. 3 of you are live in the studio, the new Toronto studio. The people live with me is that great voice you just heard right now, Al Gregos, who's been on the show many times.
A couple of times.
But making his debut in the studio is Victor. Hello, Victor.
Hello.
How are you doing?
How are you now?
Okay. And Squirrely Matt. Is that how you want to be referred to? Squirrely Matt?
Matt, Squirrely Matt, they all work.
Where's
I'll
the other
answer when you call.
But Matt, you have 1 T. Is that
Yes.
Is that like on your birth certificate?
It is. It's it's the French spelling.
Don't call him Matthew.
Yeah, don't call me Matt. It would actually be Mathieu in French, but I don't speak a lick of French. So.
Okay, like Matthew Schneider.
Yeah, something like
the
that.
great defenseman. Okay, and joining us remotely, and we're going to find out why she's not here and why this is yet another sausage fest. Tanya, how are you doing?
I've been better.
Okay, well,
how are you, Mike? How are your holidays?
I'm good, but I'm actually disappointed because you light up a room and it's dark down here, and I was really looking forward. I had set up, let me do the math, 4 chairs for guests, and I was fully expecting to have you here, but you're not here. What can you say to us about your absence? Why are you not in the studio?
If I was there, it would need to be dark because my eyes are absolutely on fire at the moment.
I'm looking at Al Grego too many times.
Yeah.
Too close to the sun.
Our daughter decided to get festive with it and came home with pink eye on December 25th. No, 23rd, sorry.
Right.
And then I got pink eye on the 26th, and I'm still contagious. So here I am.
Us doctors refer to that as conjunctivitis. This is the medical term. And I'm glad you stayed away because I don't want pink eye.
Yeah, no, it's really, really not fun. Not at all.
Does it hurt?
Oh, yeah, it does. So I have another eye condition. I've got rosacea, ocular rosacea. So I already have dry eyes. And so now I have dry burning eyes. So it's a hot mess at the moment. It just feels like my eyeballs are in turpentine, really, is the best
Not a
way
good feeling, yeah. And so thank you for staying in Holland's Landing and zooming in, but we'll get your voice on the show, but sadly we won't have you here in person, which means, Tanya, you won't be in the photo by the tree afterwards, which breaks my heart.
I saw the tree. I was pretty excited.
Maybe Al can put a photo of me on his phone.
Do you want to hold up the iPad with a picture of Tanya?
We can probably do something.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
But also,
I'll be there in spirit.
for the gentleman in the room, I have put a cold, it's almost like a game because there's some room temperature beers in front of you and there's some Great Lakes beer that has been in the fridge. But at least 3 of those beers there have been in the fridge. Can you guys find them? So
this one feels cold. Here we go.
Of course, no pressure, but if you would crack it open. Well, are you sure? I think, okay, so. This is a cold one. Oh, you did it. So cheers to you. There's some Great Lakes.
Cheers.
I'm actually going to crack one open as well. What are you guys drinking there? You got an octopus?
I got the octopus.
Matt?
Yep.
That's such a great sound on the mic, eh?
I think this is. Oh no, Matt! I didn't mean to leave you hanging
That's
here.
all
This is
good.
the part of the podcast where we all give each other cheers and nobody knows what's going on. All right, so your podcast is called the Produce Stand. If I called the Produce Stand, what would you say? It's not. It's incorrect, right?
Correct. I would call you an American. It's the produce stand.
I don't get prickly about that stuff.
Okay, well, I've been saying Palma Pasta
Yes.
forever. I say pasta instead of pasta, and I actually, by default, want to say produce instead of produce. But I am not American, so how do you explain that?
I don't know. I have no idea what. Maybe you.
We're not all perfect, Mike.
You say
Exactly.
pasta, I see kitchen.
Victor, okay, let me do this off the top. So we have our Great Lakes beer. We're drinking one right now. Great to have you guys here. That time between Christmas and New Year's is a big blob of blur. I don't know what's going on, but glad you're here. Sorry Tanya's not here. But I am sending you each home with a frozen lasagna from Palma Pasta. They're in my freezer right now. So Matt, you're getting one.
Sweet.
Victor, you're getting one.
Awesome.
Al, you're bringing one home for Tanya.
That
Yes.
solves dinner already.
Yeah.
And the leftovers will fill you. Is that a good thing, Tanya? You like your Palma
That's
Pasta?
wonderful. Thank you so much, Mike.
Oh, please. Thank you, Palma Pasta. So everybody go to palmapasta.com. So I didn't know where to begin this episode because we have connected Al Grego's iPad to the board. So he'll be able to play audio, and I don't know what he's going to play. This is similar to the best of episodes of Toronto Mic'd, which Al Grego delivers every 250 episodes. So this is 1401. There's only 99 more to go, Al.
I know.
Are you ready?
No, I'm not. But the Academy has been assembled once again.
Okay, there's a crew on this. Okay.
Yes.
I was a little disappointed that we didn't land on a 69 episode.
Oh yeah, that would have been nice.
It wasn't even close.
I know. If you could just hold it off for about, 68 episodes?
Well, I don't do that, but I did on this exact day. So we're talking on December 29. On this exact day in 2021, Dr. Roberta Bondar made her Toronto Mic debut. And that day, and I added it in post, so I didn't make the good doctor.
Thank God.
Because we did a Zoom. She's very busy. And I added some parts in post. And I added an extensive clip of Letterkenny talking about her.
He played the whole
Amazing.
cold open, the entire
That's a good
thing.
one, though.
Yeah, but poor Roberta Bondar, she had to.
But she wasn't there.
Thank God.
Okay, so it was in post. I added it. And then I realized this came up every day. I do a thing on Twitter and Blue Sky where I say, on this day in Toronto Mic'd history or whatever, Al Grego came over to tell us the best of 251 through 500, whatever. So I was doing my on this day, and I saw Dr. Roberta Bondar was on this day in 2021.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, and then I realized that's the record. That's the Toronto Mic'd record for the most Letterkenny content. Like, was that episode of Dr. It's the only time I played a clip from Letterkenny. It was extensive, as you know. And then I realized we're going to smash that record today.
Yes, probably, and a bit Shoresy too. I'm probably mostly Shoresy.
Okay, well, I don't know like how you want to structure this. I know this is an on-air meeting, but do I? Because I have like 101 questions for you all.
Sure.
One is obvious, which I think we'll start with Tanya, and then we'll make our way around the table here. But Tanya and you live together, right, Al?
Yes, we've been known to cohabitate.
Okay, so you're sleeping together. Okay, not a lot of
it's
sleeping
like the
going on there. Okay,
Yeah.
so Tanya,
Yes.
when did you and Al discover Letterkenny, and was it love at first sight?
No. Well, yes and no. So I didn't discover it with him. He discovered it on his own. And then I would catch him watching it, and I would come into the room going, what the hell is wrong with you? And what is this show about? And then he created a podcast and asked me if I wanted to be a part of this. And I thought, me? Why? What's going on? And then I realized it's the pandemic and he has no one else to ask.
Right.
That's not true.
Okay, so that's your origin story. Hey babe, I want to do this thing, and we live together and we're not allowed to visit other people. Do you want to be my co-host?
Yes. pretty much. And then he's like, I've got this idea. And pandemic. I don't even know how long we were in the pandemic for. Probably a couple months, few months, 6 months.
We started in July, so the pandemic was a few months old by then.
Well, March 13 is the day I think of when we shut things down. Okay. So to you, Al Grego, award-winning podcaster, we'll get to that later. You had this idea. How early in the run of Letterkenny, like how long had Letterkenny existed when you got the idea for the produce stand?
Oh, it had already been, 9 seasons, I think. So, yeah.
And was there a good podcast covering Letterkenny?
There was one out in Seattle, Dean and Tiara. They do a great job. The podcast is called How Are You Now? We've had them on many, many times. There's a few out there, but I couldn't find one that was consistent and local. It's a show about...
Well, that's a Canadian show.
Yeah, it's about Ontario specifically, and there weren't any... There was one Letterkenny podcast that started out of Toronto, but he didn't last very long. I think he lasted 18 episodes.
I think he was just called the Letterkenny podcast.
Yeah, he was called, which sucks for our SEO, but because when you search for Letterkenny podcast, his comes up. But yeah, he kind of gave up around episode 18 or something like that.
I do think you were wise to call yours something like the produce stand, because I feel like if Bell Media didn't want to play nice with you, they could shut you down for the name, the Letterkenny podcast.
Oh, instead, Bell Media has been one of our greatest.
Well, we're going to get to that. Because if you remember, this is a great question for. I'll ask this of Victor and Squirrely Matt. Did you hear Al Grego's recent visit to Toronto, Mike, to talk about season 5 of the Yes We Are Open podcast?
I have
it's
not
okay
yet.
if you didn't.
No, I have not yet. I've actually, and we'll talk about this later. I've listened to many of your
Well, let's
episodes.
not wait. Let's do that right now, Victor. I'm listening closely, please.
So I know you enjoy trivia, and you are actually my first. You are.
I pumped your podcast.
Yes, you are the very first podcast I've ever listened to, thanks to Al. And so you're kind of my casual listening category.
Okay.
Probably the first beginning to end podcast I ever listened to was around the same time that I started listening to you was S-Town.
S-Town,
And it was a wonderful story. I forget how many episodes it was, but it was great. I loved the music. I loved that song that they played at the beginning of every episode. But anyway, I was a huge Q107 guy,
right.
And that's what I grew up on. I listened to the top 10 at 10, and Storm and Norman was one of my favorites. So when I discovered
Hammerhead alert, Hammerhead alert.
So when I discovered that that's who you basically had on, those are I listened to every episode of all the people I loved.
Did you hear Shirley MacQueen?
You know what I did? So much good stuff. So much good stuff.
I loved her doing the top 10 at 10 on Q. This, and again, for younger people like Squirrely Matt.
I don't know.
Q107 wasn't always a classic rock station. Forever, when I was growing up, it was a new rock station. And that, if you wanted to hear the new Aerosmith song or whatever.
Or ZZ Top. Or,
or even when Robert Plant did his a long, tall, cool one or whatever, his solo stuff. Where you went. I remember hearing Copperhead Road by Steve Earle.
Yep.
Al, did you know Steve Earle was in The Wire?
I think so.
Okay, just
Might have been
checking.
one of those things
Okay.
I forgot.
So, Victor, you're a listener and you're a fan, and Al Grego's the guy who turned you on to Toronto Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. And I listened to all of your Kick Out Jam episodes, and then I listened to all of the Al episodes, but I haven't caught up to that latest one yet.
Okay, so obliged. Yes.
I brought up the latest Al Grego visit for season 5 of Yes We Are Open. Al, do these gentlemen have wireless speakers already? Is Moneris given them any wireless speakers?
I don't know if they have or not, but they do now.
We have not.
Okay, Squirrely Matt with one T.
Yes.
I'm handing you something. Hold on. The dead air, you guys could be saying profound
Is that a
things.
harmonica?
Okay.
What is this?
Okay, so let me tell you what I'm giving you there, okay? This is actually a gift from Moneris.
Wow.
And yes, you can listen to anything you want. It's a quality Bluetooth speaker, but you can definitely listen to, and you should, season 5 of Yes We Are Open.
Yep. Yeah,
that is an award-winning podcast from Moneris. Victor, you used to work at Moneris, right?
Yeah, I'd like to think that I have a little bit of play in Al's success.
Victor was my boss. He hired me at Moneris.
So
okay, that's huge.
Not only that, first, Al was incredible. He was, very, very talented.
Past tense.
He was.
It's important to know.
Underline, especially when I come up with this next part about creativity. Like, he was very, very creative and always had lots of great ideas. And one of the ideas was, he came to me one day and said, why don't we try something? Because we were talking about podcasts, and he got me onto the podcast. And just conversationally speaking. And he said, I have an idea. Why don't we start doing something called the Monaris Minute? And which was basically a weekly podcast that was exactly that. It was like a 1 minute scripted recording, and
Good
it was
idea,
just
Al.
what's gonna the week of the news or anyway.
What you need to know working at Monaris.
What exactly? And you know what? I was always looking forward to his script, because each time it would be a very creative idea. We ended up having guests on. It was a very, very good platform, but it was the genesis of where we are today, right? Because when I left Monaris, he took that to the next level, and he really flourished.
Because at that time, Victor, he was not yet an award-winning podcaster. Is that right?
No, but actually, you know what? As a team, we were award-winning, and we won an award for most innovative.
What?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I actually still
have a trophy case at home.
I have it on. I have that award on my mantle.
Okay.
I don't know what happened to we got two. The other one, I don't know where the other one is, but it was for the most innovative. What is it? E-learning. Design.
Sure.
People don't know what e-learning is, but yeah,
it was training. We used to call it training.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, it was
training.
It was gamification, right? We took gamification to the next level. It was a whole team effort, and Al was part of the team. So we did win an award, but it wasn't a podcast award. So when I left, he took podcasting to the next level, and now at Monaris, he is the podfather. He took that and turned it into an actual career.
Wow.
And I think it's incredible.
He's my hero. Okay. So Al, and again,
which I'm glad for, because at the Christmas party, he was known as the 1 minute man. And I thought, better than that.
And she was wondering, how does he last so long?
Thank you there, honey.
Nothing's off the table.
Unbelievable.
Wait till I give him his measuring tape. Okay. So if I understand this origin story, I do slide into this origin story, right, Al? Because when you were setting up your studio at Monaris, you did drop by to see how I was rolling. I inspired on some level.
Yes, you did.
And now we have this giant ego known as Al Grego in his awards. So tonight, I just want to cover this now, and then we'll get to the produce stand, and we'll get to Letterkenny and Shoresy and everything. But tonight, there are what are known as the Canadian Podcast Awards. Like, the winners are being announced this very night, right, Al?
That is correct. I believe 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube.
And how many are you up for?
4.
Like, how many awards are you? You're up for 4 awards. How many for Monaris and how many for the produce stand?
3 for Monaris, 1 for the produce stand.
So that means that one you'd share with your co-hosts on the produce stand.
Yeah.
And who are your co-hosts again?
They're Victor, Matt, and my lovely wife, Tanya.
Okay. Just covering all the bases here. Okay. And you did, and this is what I was interested. I sent a Discord DM to the gentleman behind the Canadian Podcast Awards, because I wanted to have a Zoom with him where we just talked about, like, what the hell is it? Like, what is the Canadian Podcast Awards? Like, who's behind it? How do you win? Like, how proud should we be, or whatever? But you've had
very proud.
Well, this is what I'm asking you right now, Al Grego. Well, I could come up with the I don't know, the Carrot Awards or whatever. And then I could say, hey, Toronto Mike just won like 19 carrots. See what I did there? 19 carrot awards. And then I could just put that on all my posters and stuff. But I mean, shit. Like, it's nothing. It's bullshit.
Right, because you invented it and you gave it to yourself. So, of course it means shit.
But you've had conversations with the Podcast Award people. So can you just tell us a little bit about this organization and what it means to win these awards?
I have not really spoken to them directly, but I mean, here's the thing, Mike, and I know you
don't like this topic.
You pride yourself in being like fiercely independent, and you rebel against all things that are like considered maybe too corporate or something like that. But here's the reality in awards, right? In industry awards, most of them you have to pay to enter, and you have to let them know that you exist in order to be considered. What I like about the Canadian Podcasting Awards is you have to be nominated by other podcasters, so basically by your other peers. There's no entry fee. Like most other awards cost you hundreds of dollars to enter just for consideration. The Canadian Podcast Awards, you have to be nominated by your peers. So I think, to me, that is worth more than me sending $600 to Adweek magazine for consideration, which I've done. So
did you win that award?
No, and
that's bullshit.
That money disappeared, never saw it again. So and no explanation.
I'm going to charge $700 to win a Carrot Award.
I think you can get your own awards made for less than $600.
Exactly. Now, I listened to your episode yesterday with Mohit, and you're like, these awards popped up. No, they didn't. This is their 6th annual award.
Well, that's why you're here. And that's why I wanted to have a conversation with the guy who's behind these awards, because I would get all these answers.
Mm-hmm. And I love how you talk about, like, have you ever seen that meme of the guy riding a bike, which is apropos for Mike?
I know, he sticks the
thing in the spokes, and then he falls down, and he like whatever the grievance is. I feel like you would be, bullshit baffles brains, because that's like your favorite saying when it comes to these awards. There are awards. There's a group of people who decide to pick the best podcasters out of a pool of nominees. So there's nothing more to it.
And this is an example of where it actually is nice to be nominated.
Yeah, for sure, because your peers are nominating you.
Okay, so I'm not trying to be negative Nelly or whatever. I have been talking quite a bit about how I'm an award-nominated podcaster, and I'm up for 2 awards tonight. And I do hope I win. Like, I'd rather win than lose.
It's funny. I never thought I cared so much about winning an award until we were watching the ceremony last year, and the first nomination came across. And my name didn't get called, and I was a little disappointed. I'm like, why am I so disappointed? And then when the second nomination came through and we won, we were genuinely like, my wife and my kids we were like really excited about it. So you know what?
Okay. It's easy to shit on something that you just don't understand.
Yeah.
But I do have a yearning to understand. Like, for sure. I'm actually not just gonna shit on something because it exists. I just want to know like answers to some 101, some basic questions.
And I hope I think his name is John. I hope he does come on and have that conversation with you, maybe in the new year. I know
that's all. And I thought you might have had some chats with John and you had some insight into this. So that's all. So I'm excited for you, and I hope you win for all your nominations. And if you win for the produce stand, that means all 4 of you win. So I'm hoping that I'll be like promoting this tomorrow with like award-winning podcast crew from the produce stand.
So, Mike, can I just play a quick clip here to explain why we're here today?
Oh my God, yeah.
So we're a few. Was it 2 months ago? We found out about our nomination, and it tweaked my memory. And I went back to 3 years ago when we first started this podcast, and we had a little bit of a production meeting talking about the podcast. And here's how that went. And then the second bit of news, and it's a little bit happier, and I need to set this up though. I need to rewind. We need to go back in time.
This is fun.
To episode 0 of this podcast. And that's all we have for this episode. Next week we'll begin episode recaps with season 1, episode 1.
Oh wait, stop.
What?
Stop everything.
Uh-oh.
Podcastthewords.com.
Yes.
Is it too early to ask people to go and vote?
So early, Victor.
All right.
Let's get a few episodes under our wing. Let's see if we even follow through with this.
Great clip. Appreciate your excitement, Victor. I mean, I really do.
I really like your enthusiasm. And you know what? Maybe we will submit, or at least it'd be great is if we can get Toronto Mike to interview us. That'll be. I'll feel like we've succeeded if that happens.
I know a guy who has an in, so we'll see.
Exactly. So after that clip, I posted that to Twitter.
I saw it, yeah.
You reached out and invited us on. So thank you, Mike.
And here you are. So I'm excited to have you here. So in my origin story of the foursome, okay, so we know one of them, you're sleeping with one of these co-hosts, okay? That's you, Tanya, in case you were...
Oh, shit, I had that wrong.
Puzzle. It might be Victor, too. I don't ask these questions. Okay, so...
That's how I got the job, but anyway.
So Victor's your boss at this time, so you ask your boss to be a part of it. That's a good career.
Oh, he wasn't my boss at the time.
Oh, he wasn't your boss, but you knew him from Monaris.
Yes.
And you knew he had a passion for, I guess he had a passion for both podcasting and Letterkenny?
I knew he had a personality that would be colorful for the podcast.
Okay, yeah, you need that. Okay.
Yes.
But then let me ask you, because Squirrely Matt, we're going to get to you. I'm going to see how you fit into this. But Victor, when did you fall in love with Letterkenny?
That question is flawed. So,
my premise is faulty.
Yes.
Because you don't love Letterkenny.
At that point, I did not love it, and I still don't love it today. I enjoy it.
Really?
I enjoy what Letterkenny has given to us, but the show itself, I can kind of take it or leave it.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
And I just decided to leave it.
Yeah. Well, and that's fine. That's your prerogative.
Maybe I'll change my mind.
That's how I felt after I watched the first episode when it first aired. So whenever that was, it was mid 2000.
2015, I think.
2015, yeah.
But you watch every episode.
So at that time, I watched one episode when it aired. And I kind of thought, because I was really looking forward to it because I thought it was a hockey, like, there was another hockey show at the time called Benders, which was okay. It was not good, but I liked it because it was a hockey show, and I thought this was going to be. And after completing the episode, I realized it's not really a hockey show. It's just a small town with weird skids on it. And I thought, okay, I'll just put this to rest for now. And I didn't really think about it again until Al called me during the at the beginning of the pandemic and said, hey, do you want to do this show with us? And I kind of said, well, whatever. I'm not really a fan of the show, but I'll watch it if I have to. So that's kind of how I got into it.
Does this leak into the content? Like when you're all like celebrating some big moment in Letterkenny, and then you get Victor, he kind of levels it all, and he's like underwhelmed by it all, and he's like, meh.
Yep,
yeah.
So he tempers the fanboy and girl.
There's a picture of Jared Kiesel with Victor in a headlock. Kind of.
We're gonna get to Jared. We're gonna get to Jared.
Yeah. And I some people think I'm a contrarian, and I'm kind of playing the anti-hero or whatever that you call it, the antagonist. But I don't. I'm just giving you how I feel about the episodes, and I don't shit on every episode. I think there's many episodes that I enjoyed and I like and stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm very honest about my reviews.
Okay.
And in episode 1, not 0, but in episode 1, we all came up with decided to use a rating system. And I think that rating system is a big part of our kind of framework and success. And because then it ensures that we're not a fanboy show.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm going to be focused on Squirrely Matt in a moment here. But back to the remote guest, Tanya. Tanya, when Al said he wanted to bring in his old buddy Victor, and you learned that Victor could take or leave the program, like what was your initial feelings about adding a cast member who doesn't love the show you're talking about?
Oh, I was in the same mindset. I didn't like the show at all either. Every time I caught Alan watching it.
Does anyone like this fucking show? Okay.
No,
really quickly,
the show.
Tanya, really quickly, if I recall, the way we originally had it labeled on like any podcast stream was something like to the tune of Al has invited his 3 friends to help convince his wife that Letterkenny's worth watching.
The original
Victor wouldn't help in that matter. So, okay. So, Tanya, so when in the run of the show do you realize that you love it?
Very early on.
Very early. Episode 2.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because Alan had asked me to watch a few episodes with him here and there before the whole let's do a podcast. And I didn't get it. I didn't like it. I saw some very strange things. I didn't like the show at all. Anyways, with the fast forward, we are now like watching and have homework, and we have to watch episode and then do a recap and record ourselves talking to each other. And it wasn't too far in. I think it was Fart Book, which was the one that I had seen prior to the podcast and thought it was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever seen in my life. And then that was the one that suddenly somehow won me into being interested in liking the show, because it showed a different, I guess, knowing who the characters were and having that kind of backstory as to, their relationship to each other. That episode was an episode that they actually showed value to the community and not just skids doing drugs and dancing around in a convenience store parking lot.
Yeah. Tell me this term skids. Like for a period of time, I used to speak Simpsons. Like I could have full conversations with people in the know, and I would just use Simpsons quotes. I still sprinkle like references to Simpsons episodes in my day-to-day language, but it sounds like just having this chat for the last 20 minutes. Letterkenny has a language unto itself, but what does this mean, skids?
So there's different factions in the town of Letterkenny. There's skids, there's hockey players, and there's hicks. And the hockey players are just
natives
and natives
and Christians originally.
But yeah, I think it boiled down to the 3 factions. The hicks are the protagonists, the lead characters, the ones that the moral compass of the show. The skids are kind of the fuck ups, and like Tanya was saying, they're the drug dealers in town, and they're dancing in front of the convenience store, and they're doing all sorts of.
They're kind of goth though.
Yeah, they're gothy, and then there's the And I said the hockey players. Yeah. So yeah, there's a 3
And
factions.
there's also DGens, which the skids are kind of on halfway there.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between a skid and a D-gen?
The D-gens are up country.
That's right.
And this is all language that would be understood by anyone who has a
Absolutely. If
in
you-
the
yes.
universe. How do you say it?
Universe.
Yes, universe.
Universe.
You're
little more
saying it too
emphasis
long.
on the
Say it to-
Yeah.
Universe.
There you go.
I'm working on it. Okay.
I tell you, that was better. Al's been trying to do it for
It's like a quarter
3
note.
years now. He
Well, I
still can't say
scripted
it.
that first, the cold open there. I scripted it, and then I realized I asked you guys like just before we record, like, how do you say universe? Because I was just gonna say universe, but then it's like it's universe, and then I still fucked it up. Like,
Actually, it's not. It's an eighth note. Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna take a note right here. Okay, I really want to focus on the great squirrely Matt here because. Who are you? How do you enter this world of the produce stand? And what are your thoughts on Letterkenny?
Yeah. So first, thanks for having us here, Mike. This is
And I
this is
remember
a
you
blast.
from like Pandemic Friday live streams, maybe.
I came to a
possible?
TMLX event at Great Lakes one time and met you.
Amazing.
So there's
It was you left quite the impression because I thought I met you for the first time.
no, it's okay. I tell you, I knew, and I said that I'm like I met him once, but
You should have told me because I meet
I like to make it
a lot of
awkward,
people.
man. It's like to bring it up on the show.
quickly because they can't see it on the podcast. But you're wearing a
TPS.
produce, so people can buy. I saw that on the Zoom here that Tanya's wearing one, but that's the produce stand
Yeah.
official merchandise.
Yeah, we've got a whole merch site with TPS, which is the produce stand. You can even get a shirt with my face on it. It says when you're this squirrely, they call you uncle.
Okay, we're getting back to Squirrely Matt, but Al Grego is opening something here at the table.
I
Al
wanted
Grego,
to
cuddly
just-
one.
Replenish your
Oh, because I only have the one and I wear the hell out of it.
TPS wardrobe. And here's another one for you. This is the secondary logo in blue and green with the patch on the shoulder. So this is new. You're the first one to have one of these outside of a couple of cast members.
Is it medium? Because
It's a medium.
Okay,
yes,
thank you
'cause,
so much. Okay, so I have to take off my headphones for this.
I
but-
thought you were going to bring this blue spatula.
No, we don't have.
I love that he's doing a full strips scenario right here.
Oh, I'm missing it. Turn the camera around.
You're not missing anything. All right.
So there you go.
Looks good.
Thank you guys very much for my produce stand T-shirt, which I'll wear in the photo afterwards. I'm honored that you brought me that. So back to you, Squirrely Matt.
Yeah.
Like, are you friends with anyone on the produce stand crew, or are you
Not
just like
really,
a
no.
fan who just reached out and said, "Hey, can I be a part of this?" Like, where do you come into the fold?
Yeah, so I work at Moneris as well.
Oh, there you go.
But I've known Al and Victor for a long time, but
Okay.
never directly worked with them. I worked in financial investigations when I first met them, and just
But you're at Islington and Bloor.
yes.
So do you live in the neighborhood?
I'm in Eglinton and Caledonia area.
That's
Toronto.
not the neighborhood.
No, not the neighborhood.
Victor, what about you? You
I'm in East York, just off the Danforth.
okay? Far away as well. Okay,
So not the
but
neighborhood.
almost as far as Al Grego, but not quite. Okay, so
That's not even close. Al is in a different country. He is the upcountry.
But
I'm
it
in
sounds
Toronto.
fancy. It sounds to me like when you, what were like Dynasty and Dallas, and you had all those big primetime soap operas. One could have been called Holland's Landing, right? Like it just sounds like, oh, I want to tune in Friday night to
It's
watch.
Holland Landing.
You're
Oh, is
thinking
it
of
really?
Knots
It's not
Landing.
Holland.
It's not
There
as
was-
effective
Oh, I
when
am
you lose
thinking
the
of
S.
You're
Knots
thinking of Knots Landing.
Yeah.
God
That's
damn it.
why it sounds like that. So it's not Holland's Landing. It's just Holland Landing.
Correct. Yes.
It should be Holland's Landing.
It sounds more
better.
majestic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
okay.
It does sound more impressive when you say
Back to
Holland's.
Squirrely Matt, who I met at a TMLX event. Can I tell you to come back to Great Lakes Brewery on June 27, 2024 for TMLX 15?
Amen.
You promised me?
Sure.
You got nice eyes.
Thanks, bud. So do you.
We're having a moment. Me and the
Love
Squirrely.
it.
Feeling, I'm getting a little hot over
Should we
here.
Tanya,
leave you
please
two alone?
give us a moment, okay? Okay, so you're friends with these two gentlemen from Moneris.
Yes. And I'd say
We did a practice podcast
we
together.
did. Yeah, we did. But where it really started for Al and I, where we connected, was I actually went to school for television production originally. And that career didn't pan out the way I hoped, obviously. But Al was doing a lot of work with the learning team to develop content and podcasts. And so he actually leaned on me when he found out what I could do to help him set up the studio for the green screen and a whole number of things. So I got to sort of tap into old muscles and hang out with Al. So that was sort of where we bonded around some of that. And then, of course, I had lunch with these guys all the time and just had a great time. But then,
So you're at lunch one day. I'm just imagining now. You're at lunch one day and they're saying, yeah, we're going to start a podcast about Letterkenny.
I wasn't at lunch. There was no.
That was at home
Yeah.
during the pandemic.
Right. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, because I had originally got Al onto
Yeah,
Letterkenny.
Matt was the originator. Of
Yeah, I
Letterkenny.
said to him one day, have you heard of Letterkenny? He said no, and of course he went home and watched it and came back and said, man, that's a great show. Fast forward, a couple years and the pandemic hits, he calls me up and says, hey, I know we're all stuck in pandemic mode here, but do you want to do a podcast? And I didn't even know what the content was. I said, sure, I'm in. And then he told me Letterkenny and I laughed. I said, are you serious? But I'm so glad I said yes.
Well, yeah, you're going to be an award winner tonight.
Fingers crossed.
It could be the first line of your bio, like everywhere for all time.
But Mike, if that happens, when I come to TMX, you'll say, hey, it's the award winner,
of course,
Squirrely Matt.
That's the only way I introduce Al Grego.
It is. It
I
actually
caught
is.
that. It's kind of like he's been knighted.
Well, I think Mark Weisblatt wants it to be
Instead of saying sir.
the cuddly one, but I prefer award-winning podcaster Al Grego.
It's better than the way Al introduces me, I think still to this day.
No, that's changed.
As my boss or my former
that
boss.
changed.
Not my friend, my former boss.
my former boss, Victor. That's all. You should hear how he introduces his wife. Okay. Okay.
My current wife.
So my first wife. This is my first
My
wife. Tanya. Is that my wife? Oh, that's Borat.
I'm feeling attacked here.
I speak a little Borat. Okay, so so I want to just get the 101 as a non-viewer of this show. Okay, so Letterkenny, I saw the press release. I know that Letterkenny's final season is now available on Crave. I feel like I'm doing a Bell Media ad right here, but on Crave you can stream the final season right now.
Correct.
So I'm assuming, Tanya, that all of you have seen the final season of Letterkenny.
False.
Incorrect.
Tanya and I have.
Okay, so you two have. What did you think of it, Tanya?
They aired it on Christmas Day, and we have finally gotten through all of them. Only because there were so many people spoiling it and sending messages out.
Right.
There's in order to not have it spoiled, we watched them all, and I can't really say because not everyone's seen it yet. Victor and Matt haven't
Yeah,
watched.
she's not allowed to
Spoiler
tell us
alert.
if she likes it or not.
Okay, so you're saving that. And Victor, are you how many episodes into it are you?
I watch episode per episode, so I haven't watched it yet. When it's time for us to do our homework, when we're ready,
Interesting.
I don't know when we're starting.
I
Then
think
I'll
I
go
like
next
Victor
week.
as a co-host of Toronto Mike.
Yes.
I kind of like the cut of his jib here. He just doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah,
That's correct.
He's like the Elvis of the produce stand. It's like, what did you think of the episode of Randy Bachman? Didn't listen. Okay. So Squirrely Matt, you were on board since the episode 0 or whatever of the one we just heard from there in that clip that Al played. And you're how far advanced are you in the final season of Letterkenny?
I'm actually also read I've only watched the first episode, and it's not in my case that I haven't wanted to. It's just the holiday chaos and the kids, and I just haven't had.
How many kids do you have?
3.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
What kind of ages are we talking about here?
13, 10, and 4. I nailed it.
That's okay. That's
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I
You could have
nailed it. I was
lied and
excited
know
that I got it right in the first try.
Look, I know how tough that is. I get their names mixed up. Okay, that's what
Every
happens.
day.
Well, because my boys have names that start with J, and my girls have names that start with M. So I'll be yelling for Jarvis, but I'll start with the J, and I'll call him James, and it happens like 18 times a day. It's
You did
really,
it to yourself, Mike.
you left
know,
out
dude.
Moose.
Yes, and I have a moose at home as well.
Like what does that mean? A dog?
Yeah,
Because it's not a real moose, right?
Well,
It's about the size of a moose.
it's a cane corso.
Hey, is Moose grumpy in the universe? The universe.
She isn't, but she's been welcome. Or she's been invited, but no, she doesn't.
She didn't take to Letterkenny. Okay, so here's my question about Letterkenny. So Letterkenny is done. People are now watching the final season. And I know because when you were over here, that's why I was asking if Victor had heard your last episode, Al, because we did like an extensive discussion about your white whale and how on the, which we'll talk about in a moment again, because heck, we're talking about this all now. But my question is about Shoresy. So Letterkenny, done. Shoresy, not done.
Just beginning.
Hopefully,
So how do the two compare? It's the same universe? Universe.
Same universe.
extension.
It's an extension. One character connects. Victor's shaking his head. Okay, so Letterkenny was very much like a series of comedy sketches almost. I mean, there's like loose story tying them all together, but it's kind of more of a sketchy kind of show. And one of the characters in Letterkenny was this character named Shoresy, who you never saw his face because he was being played by the same actor who plays the main lead role of Wayne. He's being played by Jared Kiso. So they never showed his face. He had a different voice, and all he did was chirp at other people and talk about how, fucking their moms.
And show his bum.
And show his, he's the only one who's shown nudity on the show, naked handstand in the shower. So that's Shoresy in Letterkenny, is a very one-dimensional character.
Okay.
But then when they introduced a spinoff, and then they introduced that the spinoff was going to be Shoresy, there was a lot of, people going, how the hell are they going to do that? First of all, are they going to show his face? Like, are they going to do how can they do a whole show where the main character, you can't see his face? But it was a brilliant move because A, it's still Kiso playing the lead role, but B, because it was a one-dimensional character in Letterkenny, they had carte blanche to make him whatever they wanted him to be in Shoresy, and it's great.
And do you agree, Victor, that Shoresy is great?
Yeah, it's a good show. It's not really even comparable to Letterkenny. It's
Is
a
it
different
better
show.
than Letterkenny?
It's much better than Letterkenny.
Wow.
It's not even close. And
See how excited I was by that? Wow, I had a big wow.
yeah,
there.
well, it's written
Okay.
differently. It's written by the same two people, but it's written differently. Like Al said, Letterkenny is basically a sketch comedy where it's basically 3 different storylines, but not really even storylines. They're just
Like
what are those
segments?
Yeah,
What are
segments.
those? Okay.
Exactly.
Bits?
Yeah, bits and
Routines? I'll keep going by synonyms.
Yeah, no, you're doing well. And Shoresy is an actual story.
Skits?
Yeah, vignettes is the word I was
Vignettes.
looking for.
Yeah, that's a
go.
fancy word for it.
Anyway, Shoresy's well written.
I love those Heritage Minute vignettes. Like, those were the best.
Yeah.
So it's funny you bring that up.
Namath one, the basketball one. Yeah.
Let me
That's
just play
one.
a clip here from Shoresy on Letterkenny.
Okay.
It's a quick clip here.
Okay.
And then we'll compare him to what he's like on the news show.
Okay.
I'm not helping you tit fuckers or those twats. Give your balls a tug.
There's a lot on the line here, Shoresy.
Hey, want to talk about lines, you fucking loser?
Is that
I
Torrens?
woke up to your mom ripping dick dingers off my foreskin. Tell her to keep her hands off my scoops.
Fuck you, Shoresy.
Fuck you, Jonesy. I made your mom come so hard they made a Canadian Heritage Minute out of it and Don McKellar played my dick.
Fuck you, Shoresy.
Fuck you, Riley. I made your mom so wet Trudeau deployed a 24-hour infantry unit to stack sandbags around my bed.
Fuck you, Shoresy.
Fuck you both. Your lives are so fucking pathetic. I ran a charity 15K to raise awareness for it, you fucking losers.
So aggressive.
See, that sounds to me like Jonathan Torrens' voice. Like, I don't know.
No,
but
that's
it's not his.
Jared
Okay,
Kiso
Jared
doing.
Kiso,
Yeah.
okay. All right. That's so timely. Yeah. We mentioned the Heritage. What's your favorite around the table? Tanya, do you have a favorite Canadian Heritage Minute?
I smell burnt toast.
Yeah, that's mine too. Dr. Penfield. I smell burnt toast, Dr. Penfield. Okay, what say you, Squirrely Matt?
Well, I'm gonna say the same, but it's not a favorite. It triggers for me. So I was epileptic. I guess I technically am still epileptic.
Okay.
But when I was a kid, so when I first saw the burnt toast one, it freaked me out the rest of my life. Still to this day, if I smell burnt toast, I'm like, oh fuck. And it's never been accurate in my perspective.
Because it's
but
always at breakfast.
It's always at breakfast, yeah. So I don't like burnt toast. The smell just really messes me up. But yeah, that's the most memorable in a.
Victor, do you have a favorite Canadian Heritage Minute?
Yeah, my favorite one is not a Heritage Minute at all. It's the house.
He is the
hippo.
Elvis. What the fuck? Stick with the question.
Yeah.
What is
No,
it?
He's incapable.
It's the house hippo. Because that is Canadian, and it's also
remember
like
the house hippo, Mike?
What is the house hippo?
what?
And I'm the young one.
It's
See,
like- it's
before
like
we press record, though, you said something
it's
about a
a-
hippo, and
Yes.
then I said there's a hippo in my bathtub, which was my favorite, and we talked about the Anne Marie album because we're older than
Yeah.
Squirrely Matt, so we remember this. And then we talked about Anne Marie, and then I know Squirrely Matt had like a story about going to the Anne Marie Museum, and then I told you guys to shut the fuck up because we're going to record a podcast, and I don't want to have to repeat all this like I just did.
Well, you just
What's a
recapped it
hippo?
perfectly.
So what's a hippo? So this thing is a public service announcement to not believe everything you see online and whatnot in the media and right because it's a house hippo that acts like a cat or a dog. And
Okay, did this air on television?
Yes.
Yes.
Like recently?
Like
It's got to
what?
be if it's like.
You also need to know Victor has an obsession with hippos. It's his favorite animal, so that's why
true.
this.
Well, there's a hippo in his bathtub.
Yes.
Okay. And what was this museum you went to, Squirrely Matt? An Anne Marie museum? Was it in Nova Scotia?
It was awful. But that's from my perspective.
Was she working there?
My dad adored it. Listen, my family's from out east, Nova Scotia,
Yeah,
and
she's from there.
my parents are massive Anne Marie fans. So when I was a kid, I got dragged out there and into the museum, and I'm sure it's wonderful. But I was like 8 years old.
Yeah, it
and,
sucks for an
and
8-year-old.
it was not exciting at all. But The story really was I've been there and it exists. If you're
Well, yeah, of course it exists, right? But like, is it Sunnyside PEI? Why does that? Where is the hell is Anne Murray from? Okay, but it's like you have to be a fan of Anne Murray to appreciate the Anne Murray Museum. And there's no the only 8-year-old fan was me when I was listening to Hippo in my bathtub because I fucking love
Fantastic.
Yeah, and it's about the
It really
size of like
is.
one of those tourist stops on the side of the highway, but it's got Anne Murray all over it. So.
Tanya's probably an Anne Murray fan too. That's the kind
What's your
of music-
favorite Anne Murray song, Tanya?
Oh, good Lord.
Everyone only knows one, right? Snowbird.
Okay, that's mine.
Well, just if you ask, if you go to in the subway, like random 100 people on the subway, and you say, "What's your favorite Anne Murray song?" I don't know. 60 will say, "I don't know any Anne Murray songs," and then 39 will say "Snowbird," and then one of those 100 will be the super fan who picks a deep cut. I would say I like the Teddy Bear Picnic that appears on Hippo in my bathtub. What about you, Victor? That was a good one, right?
The hippo in my bathtub.
Okay. My producer is telling me to move on here. Okay. So Squirrely Matt, you're part of the crew. And let's cover this white whale thing here. So who booked Jared Kiso for an episode of The Produce Stand?
I mean, I did, but that's just because I was in contact with the producer and she reached out to me and said, "Hey, Jared will come on now." And there's a reason why he'll come on now, but we had to keep it secret for a bit.
And is the reason that this is the final season?
That is correct.
But I think there's a lot more. So it wasn't just reaching out and booking. Because if you read about Jared Kiso anywhere, he doesn't do interviews. We were a rare exception to get this, and obviously ecstatic. But I think this was 3 years of building up the love for what we have around the show and the universe to get us there, right? And they saw us and appreciated what we've been doing. And I think this was a way for them to sort of say thank you and give us the exclusive.
Which is amazing. Tanya, what was your reaction when Cuddly Al was in bed with you and he said to you, "We got Jared Kiso"? And I'm sure he said it like this: "We caught our white whale." What was your reaction?
I don't even I think you told me at lunchtime. I don't even remember the day. I know it was in October, was it?
Something like that.
2023?
Yeah.
Because I think Victor's reaction was, Jared who?
No. I'll give you mine after Tanya.
After
shares,
Tanya.
yeah.
I'm still listening to Tanya.
Yeah, no, it was just, excitement, beyond excitement. Can't believe that this is happening. This is fine. Like, and
to be clear, I covered this extensively when Al was here for the 5th season Jam Kicking from Yes We Are Open, which is an award-winning podcast from Moneris. But Jared, just again, because Jared Kiso, I might know him if he was at the door. I'd be like, I feel like I saw this guy like on a Crave commercial, a Bell Media commercial or something like that. But Jared Kiso didn't do any other interviews, even though the final season of Letterkenny just dropped on Crave. Like this, he only did one interview. Is that right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
I know. I was asking Tanya, Al, okay?
That was Tanya.
Yeah, it was huge. It was huge. We knew he doesn't do interviews, and the fact that they had reached out and that we were being offered this amazing opportunity. It was super exciting. Really
were there any
exciting.
parameters, Squirrely Matt? Were there any parameters like do you know? Did the people at Bell Media say, "Okay, I'm going to make it up and you'll tell me the facts, but you've got 30 minutes on Zoom with Jared and then they no more rules, just go because they trust you," or whatever? Like, what were the parameters for this?
No, I mean, they had trust in us. They didn't really give us any parameters at all. We had interviewed, 20 plus members of the cast or crew over the last couple of years. We got the vibe they liked our style and our approach to how they treated the material and just said, it's
you
yours.
Had to trust.
Yeah.
And so was there any time parameters applied to this, or they just said
an hour? Yeah.
So we had an hour, which is a long time.
Yeah.
And they gave us a bit more.
Yeah.
Well, we took a bit
that's
more.
I taught Al that move.
Yeah, Mike taught me that move for sure.
If they give you an hour, you get an hour 15. That's just how it works here. Okay. And please toot your own horn, but Variety quotes you now.
It's wild. When we saw, so we've been tracking, when we saw Variety, that was unreal. I think my favorite part of that, and tooting my horn, is the fact that they went out of their way to say that Jared declined Variety's interview before giving it to us. So yeah, it was a pretty special moment.
Yeah, I think it's important to kind of mention that again. it's not out of thin air. We had already met him in person. They invited us up to go up to Sudbury to actually be as extras on one of the episodes, which we may or may not talk about. It was episode 3.
Well, you can
of
talk
season
about
2.
it now if you want.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was a wonderful. We were there for several days, and we ended up being on episode 3 of season 2. They treated us with such class and respect. We met Jared Kiso when he came in. He was so.
You described him as a superhero.
yeah. He came in because he was on skates and he was wearing this kind of the undershirt, under jersey, and so you saw his abs, and he just looked like a superhero. But he was so authentic and more in awe of us than the other way around. So he made us feel really, really comfortable. And
he knew us all by name.
Yeah, he was fantastic. Yeah. Knew us exactly, most of us anyway. There's this inside joke there, but it was wonderful to meet him. So when we did find out that we were going to get him, I wasn't that surprised, right? Because there was already that trust and relationship that started to form, and it was fantastic. I was personally, I was excited, but I was more excited for our listeners, because I knew how much this would mean to them. And I know even to this day, I truly believe in my heart, it means more to them than it does to us.
Well, can we talk about the listeners? So, there's the 4 of you, but there's an entire community that has been built around, I guess, the show, but more importantly, built around your podcast. Al, do you want to talk about that?
Sure. Why don't I play a clip first about Jared talking about our show and our our community here.
Okay. Knowing what you've created, and I mean, you guys have done the tours, and I'm sure you've got a pulse on the fandom behind it. How does it feel to you to know that what you've created is so special to so many people out there?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It's you guys, that people like our show enough and care about our show enough to want to talk about it, create their own content surrounding the show. I know not every show does that. So it is definitely not lost on me. I guess going back to your crew, to the people that you guys have put together, everybody being so passionate about the show, and you guys are so passionate about each other too. Like, if you want good vibes, listen to a recap episode of the Produce Stand on a hangout when they've all hung out together. You will get the warmest fuzzies possible. So I have the utmost appreciation for you guys and what you do, and I will continue to listen.
Thank you.
And if I can add, Mike, for the trip to Sudbury, just to expand a bit, that was the 4 of us from the Produce Stand were invited up, but they also invited 7 or 8 of our listener friends from across the United States, as far as California,
Colorado,
and flew them all up to take part in that weekend, and it was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Well, this is all amazing, and that quote is amazing, and I'm trying to think of an equivalent, like where a creator of something only does one interview, and it's with like an independent podcast like yours. I can't think of an equivalent, to be quite honest with you, but I'll spend the rest of the day trying to find an equivalent. But you guys should be very honored by all that.
We were, for sure. I mean, it's a recognition of the work, and it was work. It's been work. I mean, Mike, you put these out multiple times a week, but for a while there, we didn't miss a week. We were working harder on this podcast than at our regular jobs.
If only Yes We Are Open had that kind of TLC applied.
But our listeners, they reciprocated too, right? Like, they became a big part of what we were doing too. I mean, it's especially between seasons of Letterkenny and Shoresy, when we're like trying to think of creative ways to put out an episode. We've got, a dozen of our listeners helping us, and we've got like a dozen producers for this podcast. It's not just the 4 of us.
Yeah, absolutely. But what was it? Midway, probably season 6 or 7, we started really selling the idea, not selling, but really it was honestly that it's not just our podcast, it's everyone's podcast. So every one of our listener fans who wanted to be involved, if they had something to talk about and wanted to address a topic or an episode or a character, we gave them the way and helped liaise the whole situation, and it's been a blast.
Every episode that we do, we have a guest from the community. And I don't know
Okay.
exactly when that started, because originally it was just the four of us, and it still is the four of us, but every episode religiously we have a guest from the community. And if one of us happens to be sick or something like that, we have a stand-in and a guest
Wow.
from the community. So they're really part of the podcast.
Yeah.
When you have on a member of the community and they completely suck, do you guys just take a mental note like, okay, no more booking that member of the community?
No one's ever sucked on our podcast because
Matt's giving you a look. though.
So you know,
I was curious what he's going to say.
So you know what's unique about this community is that there's so much toxicity online, obviously, as you know. So we fully
mostly me.
Yeah, exactly. So we fully expected that at some point we'd encounter that.
Right.
It's yet to happen.
Yeah.
So
can I share one story, and this speaks to the fiber of Al Grego, the award-winning podcaster over
The
here.
cuddly one.
We did have one. For the most part, there's no toxicity, but early on in the days, we had a Twitter group that we were all privately chatting on, and there was one incident where there was a bit of bullying occurred. Everyone sort of spoke up, and he was removed from the group immediately. Al addressed it privately with the person on the side, like really took at him. The person who was bullied in our group left our community. We reached out, and Al specifically reached out and said, "No, we want you back. Don't leave. This means more to us that you're here than that person. Like, fuck him. He's gone."
Right.
Really stood up for that moment, and that really set the tone from that day forward. That people knew this is a safe place. Everyone's welcome, and we have no tolerance of that kind of bullshit. So Al was a huge moment in that, but it really set an ongoing tone for what kind of community we're building.
I think there's a common understanding too. Like there's all kinds of bullshit that it's happening in the real world. And so our community is really a distraction from that. And so people don't bring in that stuff from the outside world into the community. There's enough authenticity and enough caring and love that happens within that it's a getaway. It's a getaway for people. And everybody, I think, just knows and understands to keep it clean.
Tanya, how's that pink eye doing? How you feeling?
I'm closing my eyes and listening deeply.
it's getting too sweet for Mike right now. That's why.
Segue, Mike.
I needed to hear some Tanya. So, Tanya, has there ever been a member of this community? Because I know you have a Discord server. Because I'm in there somehow, and I know it's very active. Is there ever a member of this community that wants the show to go in a direction that you four are like, we're not comfortable going there, or we don't want to go there? Like, you won't say yes to every suggestion from these great unwashed community members, will you?
Our social is really through Al and Matt. There are two social media guys. I am really I'm more of the person that wants to go live with the Amish and get away from my phone.
So you're not even in that Discord chat.
As much as people wish she was, no, she doesn't.
I attempted twice, and the first time I was, I don't even remember what I think it was Twitter that I went in. And I think there was like 400 messages before 12, and I was like, no, can't do it. And because I'm trying to read every single one of them, that I didn't miss anything. And I was like, that's not how it works. You just scroll to the bottom. Yeah. Anyways, I can't keep up with it. And I think I tried.
Well, I'm in the same boat for what it's worth, because I'm in there and I can't keep up with it. So, and then you know what I don't like? Once in a while I get an email from Discord saying that I was tagged or whatever. Like, so I know this in WhatsApp. It's when somebody actually specifically mentions you. So now I need to read, like somebody's like, Toronto Mike, what an asshole, or Toronto Mike, he's the greatest, or whatever.
You're supposed to read that one.
Right. But what I fucking pissed me off was like I was getting these emails. You were mentioned in a post, but it was actually like mentioning at everyone. Okay?
Oh yeah.
Like, fuck that, right? Like, it's like, I'm like, oh, I better go in and see what they're saying about me. Like, here I am being mentioned in this Discord for Letterkenny or whatever. And it's like, no, it's just someone saying, hey, thanks everyone for watching the live stream last night or whatever. And it's like, what the, come on, Discord.
And just to be clear, the community, it's not, for anyone who's listening, it's not just like hundreds of people sitting there talking about Letterkenny and Shoresy all day. It's probably 99% other stuff. 1%.
What would you say, Victor, if you were going to guess right now? You're in the Discord server, right?
He doesn't.
No, he doesn't care. Okay, so Al. We'll go to Al, the cuddly one. What's the breakdown of Canadians to non-Canadians in that Discord, if you had to guess?
Oh, there's only a handful of Canadians. It's mostly Americans.
So how do you explain that? Can you please tell me where...
Australians and UK, yeah.
Where do you see Letterkenny in the United States?
On Hulu. They're on Hulu.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So there's an interesting story about how Letterkenny kind of became more of a worldwide thing than Canadian.
It was the Roberta Bondar episode.
No, it was actually so. If you believe the lore, Canadian soldiers would receive these care packages, with TV shows from home and stuff to help them with homesickness, and they would watch these shows like Corner Gas, like Letterkenny, and then they would share with their American and Australian and UK allies and
the NATO allies.
Yeah, so they would like pass these USB keys around, and apparently Letterkenny was a big thing that everyone got into. So we have listeners in Australia, UK. The majority of our listeners are American, and it seems to strike a nerve, especially with our American listeners. So it's funny. It's bigger down there than it is up here for the most part.
Does that surprise you guys? Like, Victor, is that surprising?
No, it doesn't, because
when I heard that clip you played, and you've got more clips, right? So, but when I hear these clips of Letterkenny, it feels very hoser to me. Like, it's like, oh,
yeah,
it's
that's
like
half of their country, and south of the Bible Belt or whatever they call it,
they love it.
They love it because it's very much them, right? They're all Hicks, for the most part,
without the hockey sticks.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what's even more interesting is what I found really cool was the amount of listeners who just are really into Canadian culture altogether. Like they're coming.
Like, would they also be Trailer Park Boys?
Trailer Park Boys.
Right. That's the other one I think of when I think of Letterkenny, which I also never really got.
We had
I liked it better, actually.
Yeah, we had a friend come up not too long ago, and he was wearing a Terry Fox shirt, and he says he gets one every year. Like, I don't understand it, but they're fascinated by Canadian culture.
Bubbles, was in Sandbox. That
band.
Curious, the band. Okay. I heard a voice from Holland Landing, and I'm hoping we could revisit that. What were you going to say there, Tanya?
I was going to say it's a sense of exactly what Matt was saying, the Canadian culture, but it goes beyond that into a sense of community. Like there's that so far, like the people that are reaching out, they are just very community driven, very, just from the show always references if a friend helps you, asks you for help, you help them. And that's how the community is. Like everybody is there to help one another, and it's just grown from there.
It's a progressive show. On the surface, it doesn't look progressive, but it is very progressive. It's very inclusive. It's well written, despite what Victor might think. It's just, and here's the thing: Canadians eat their own. Like, we grew up, Mike, with Brit files, like people who would consume anything coming out of the UK,
right?
With people who consume anything coming out of the US, and very few people would be like, I like this show because it's Canadian. And Letterkenny and Shoresy are unapologetically Canadian. They don't, you don't need to like them. They're going to continue doing what they're doing the way they do it, and people appreciate them for it.
I think it is well written. It's just not for everybody. Like for me, let's say Corner Gas. It's in a different hemisphere.
Yeah, that's more like the Canadian Everybody Loves Raymond or something. Like, to me, it's more accessible.
Yeah, like I think for me, it's probably, is Schitt's Creek a Canadian? Like, is that considered Canadian?
Yeah, that's
so
Canadian.
for me, like Schitt's Creek is like super high end.
Yeah,
then Corner
premium content.
Then Corner Gas.
Okay.
Then what's that Winnipeg
Murdoch
show?
Oh
no, the Winnipeg
Little Mosque
one.
on the Prairie.
No,
Winnipeg.
The guy that hates the song "I Hate Winnipeg."
The Week Event. Less Than Kind.
Less Than Kind. I love that show. And then Trailer Park Boys, and then Shoresy, and then Letterkenny.
What?
So Letterkenny. Let me explore this with Victor.
Boys
You were
above
fired.
it? No.
Hold on, let's
Victor's
explore
fired.
this.
Trailer Park.
I'm announcing this right now. Yeah.
So you've got Victor. No, Victor can only speak for Victor. The rest of you obviously disagree with him. But Victor, you've got, because it's funny, because I have multiple times I've taken a run at Letterkenny, because I am of the belief that I'm a Canadian guy, like I am a Gen Xer, like this is right for me. And sort of even listening to these clips, I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I don't like it. YYZ in the live stream just said it's an acquired taste. Mm-hmm. I really do get the feeling it's just not a mainstream accessible program that everybody's gonna be like. It's not Downton Abbey.
No. Anyone they ask, you do a podcast, what is it on? I say Letterkenny. If they say they haven't heard it, I say, well, go check it out. You're either gonna love it.
You tell them it's a show. You watch it.
Yes, yeah. I tell them that, and I say you're either gonna love it, or you're gonna hate it, because that's the vibe I've learned. Is people either fall in love with it,
so it either hooks you, and you're so obsessed, you're like, I got to find a community where we can talk about this, and then they find you guys as Jared.
Or you can take it or leave it. Like me, I can take it or leave it. I listen to it because.
But if you didn't host this podcast, would you be watching?
Probably not.
So you would leave it.
I would leave it.
But if he left it, then he wouldn't have discovered Shoresy.
Exactly.
And you love Shoresy.
Yeah, let's talk about Shoresy, because I think Letterkenny, you're right, is an acquired taste, and we're not going to change anybody's minds on that. It's now that it's over. But Shoresy is a different animal.
Okay.
And
let's talk about Shoresy.
I think, Mike, you would appreciate Shoresy, and I've got some clips here that'll help you with that. First, I'm going to just play a smash cut here of a bunch of interviews, just kind of setting up so up until now, we know Shoresy's this one-dimensional character from Letterkenny, and they're doing a spin-off, and we know nothing about it. And so then we interviewed a bunch of actors from Shoresy.
I told Jared on like season 3 of Letterkenny, I was like, man, it's it's so cool to be a part of, because to have like the creator, the showrunner, he goes out of his way to say hi, good morning, how was your weekend, shakes everybody's hand, and it's just anything that he puts his passion into, I think will do well. And I've told him that since the very beginning. And he, like I said, when we were talking about Shoresy, as it was just an idea, he said, we're going to make the best hockey show ever made. And I just, trust the process.
So far, so good. Yeah. You retire from hockey. You've got this music career going. How do you meet Jared Keeso? Where do you meet Jared?
Honestly, I don't meet him. I guess he sees fucking everything happening on the news or whatever, because in Quebec he made kind of a pretty big deal, right? And he's dating Mag, which is a Quebec girl too, so he lives in Montreal. So I guess he's heard of all that, and he's a hockey fucking nerd. So yeah, I never met him actually. I guess he saw me in the street one day. He
Joe Dolo.
First day on set, he's like, "Yo, I saw
Jonathan Diaby."
I like how he talks. I wanted to come up to you and tell
he's
you
a hip hop artist that I was trying to get in Toronto.
I didn't want to spoil you, whatever.
I knew it was coming down the pipe, that I was getting really close. And then Jared actually called me on my birthday. That was July 13th. Nice. And he said, I believe the exact words were,
it's Ryan McDonald.
"You want to go make the best damn hockey show ever?" And I said, I was like, "Sign me up, my man.
That's amazing.
Me up."
That's great.
Start?
But yeah, there's a lot of all my old hockey buddies.
Sure.
They were calling me and texting me, and they're like, "Dude, this is the best hockey show I've ever seen, and your scenes were so funny and so accurate to our trapper seasons." And
and she says, "I got somebody on the line here that wants to talk to you," and it was Jared. And Jared broke the news to me and said, "How do you feel about creating the greatest hockey show on the planet?" And I was dumbfounded about the whole thing, so I was like, "Yeah, like absolutely, like let's do it. It's awesome."
Amazing. I love that that's how he introduced it to everyone. Like you're about the third or fourth person we've heard say that comment, that they got on the phone with Jared and he said, "How do you want to make the greatest hockey show in fucking history?" Like,
oh yeah. Yep. Jared, that was the first thing he said. He is so adamant about that this will be the greatest hockey show ever. And I think he's done a good job on it so far.
We hard agree.
What is the second greatest hockey show of all time? There's not a lot of hockey shows, as I think.
So you know what? One of the greatest hockey shows is also, it's not really a show. It's a TV biopic that Keeso was. It was the Don Cherry.
Oh, I saw that.
And did you know that was Keeso?
Yes, I did. I think I did find that out.
And it was, I think to this day, it's one of the best acting that he's done. And I loved it.
Good question. Jared Keeso, does he do any outside of the universe? Is that like the only thing you might have you might have seen him in? Like, does he do other stuff?
Well, he did a series of things. Like there was an old show, I'll make this an awesome show called Monster Warriors, which was a wide TV show. He did a number of that. He was in he did bits in Godzilla, one of the Godzilla movies, and a number of other things. But he talks about in his interviews around how he didn't like the LA scene and the hustle down there, wanted to really have more control over his career.
The Ron James story. Mm-hmm. It's true. He went to LA and then he came home and he decided, I'll just be a big fucking deal in my home in Neighborland.
That's exactly what he did. He did a great show called 19-2. It's a Montreal cop procedural. Amazing show, very dark, very intense. A lot of cast members from that show have gone on to be on Letterkenny and Shoresy because Keeso's brought them. He's that kind of guy. He's loyal to the people who he's loyal to, and brings them onto his shows.
He's kind of had like a Sandler approach where he brings all his friends along for the journey and just loves to make the best kind of stuff he can with his friends.
Right. I'm thinking Private Eyes is a Jason Priestley show. It's been canceled based on a book by FOTM Gare Joyce.
That's right.
Hope Gare's listening. And it's not really a hockey show, but he was a former hockey NHL player. I'm trying to think of hockey shows. Like there was mini series. Remember that? There was one in the mid '80s with that was really big. You know what I'm talking about? The hockey show. Anyway, Megan Follows was in it. Maybe Megan Follows is in this thing. Anyways,
there's been a few attempts.
The only one that I know is Benders. Benders was actually.
Where do you see Benders?
I don't remember. It was on network television, probably. Okay. No. You know what? It must have been not streaming, but one of those premium ones that you had to purchase extra with your cable package.
Showcase or something.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually enjoyed it. Like if you look it up on IMDb, I think the rating is maybe 6 something, whatever. But for me, it was a 10 because it was about hockey, and I loved it. And I think there was a girl on there that I kind of had a crush on.
Of course.
So
that's how you reel in the victors.
That's right. And I actually enjoyed it, and I thought it was really good. And Shoresy took me back there. And I don't think there's been really a sitcom about hockey since Benders. And Shoresy's doing it. And
Mike, I feel like you're kind of trying to discredit the claim that it's going to be the best.
No, I've never seen Shoresy, so I actually I taken a run at Letterkenny.
Yeah,
and it didn't stick.
Yeah,
but I have not yet dipped my toe in the Shoresy waters. I might love it. Is Jess Salguero at all involved in Shoresy?
No, she was in Letterkenny.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of FOTMs who were involved.
It's not a perfect. It's not a perfect show. There's still some things that the things that I don't love about Letterkenny have seeped into Shoresy, but that's fine because the rest of the people love that kind of stuff. I'm not into toilet humor. I know Matt loves it, and
well, that's it. That's actually what turns me off. I don't really need to hear the. Fuck your mother with a whatever, the potty stuff, the kind of the gratuitous sex stuff. I'm not a prude by any. Ask Al. This is the show. I'm not a prude by any imagination. I just don't find it.
But don't expect that. I mean, we all know Shoresy from Letterkenny, what he brought. That's not what you get in the show. Right. They definitely show you taste of that because you're not going to forget where he came from. But they really take what Al said, that one-dimensional character, and really create a whole persona around him that he's kind of that villain that you learn to love.
Yeah. So here, let me play you a scene that describes the plot from season 1 of Shoresy.
Please don't fold.
Why, Shoresy? We're firmly in the basement. The town's turned their back on us. We don't even have a coach now. What are we supposed to do?
Never lose again.
What?
This team will never lose again.
Wheels are already in motion, Shoresy. I gassed Michael's...
Sanguinet'll coach.
But I'm a player.
Sanguinet, you're a healthy scratch on a last place club in the no-show. Hang him up.
What's your plan?
Me?
Oh, my God.
Fucking one top line of Canadian-grade studs to fill the net, surround them with the toughest natives we can find.
Tough natives is redundant. That's a good plan.
It's a really good plan.
It's the best fucking plan I ever heard in my life.
My man.
We'll just use the money that you were going to spend on Michaels to bring in 4 guys who'll turn this ship right round.
Then that's 4 guys she'll have to put up in hotels.
They'll stay with me.
So you're saying you've got 4 studs who will completely uproot their lives to live with you and play senior hockey in Sudbury. Are they fucking inbred?
Does anyone kind of think Zieg maybe wishes they were?
4-team league, 4 games left.
Timmins North Bay once, Sioux twice, all 4 on home ice.
We could get in right before the trade deadline.
I want bums in seats.
Watch this.
I can't lose one more game.
We won't.
Shoresy.
This team will never lose again.
If we never lose again, we win the league.
Okay, all right.
So,
all right.
Unapologetically Canadian.
Yeah,
it takes
North
place
Bay and
in
Timmins.
Sudbury.
Yeah.
And it's put Sudbury on the map. Sudbury's now become a hot spot for filming, but also visitors. We've been up there a few times and with some of our listeners as well. And again, he's creating his own little industry up here because that's what he wants to do.
And this is something we should all root for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like an independent Canadian projects or whatever. I know Bell Media is behind this, but which not as independent as you guys.
But you said, but even when we were up there, yes, Bell Media is behind it, but we spent, like you said, a number of visits up there. Any person we met in the community and we asked them about the presence of Letterkenny and Shoresy, they were all very well aware. And not a single person had a negative thing to say. They'd all interacted with somebody involved in the show, and they loved them for it.
But even giant soulless corporations like Bell Media are capable of doing some good.
Yes.
And this is an example.
Yeah, they stay out of the way.
Yeah,
that's what they've done.
Yeah, this is a new metric
new metric
production that Bell Media has bought up, right? But I mean, it's New Metric that's all over this.
They do good by staying out of the way.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, good. And then we get more homegrown art that it seems to be resonating with Americans.
Yeah.
So it's all good. I can just see the Americans buying their tickets to Sudbury. Like this is this is happening.
Mike, I know
en
you
masse.
I know you love your con can. So here's a clip that I think will appeal more to your sensibilities.
Okay.
Nice fancy. I'm Mother Earth, Hitch.
Hamski.
Fuck you, Shoresy.
Scenery and Fish might be the best Canadian record of the genre, but the era.
No, it's Rusty Fluke.
Honorable mention Sloan one chord to another.
Oh, so we're just gonna stand here and then pretend that Jake Little Pill never happened.
Pam, you want to come over sometime, play some tunes?
I know what sluts listen to, Hitch.
Look, you had me at Rusty's Fluke.
I know.
Are there any other fans of Fluke on these mics right now? What do you think, Tanya, of Rusty's Fluke?
She doesn't know.
No, I do not.
Yes, I'm a fan.
I'd have the same reaction from my wife. It's like, hey, babe, what do you think, Monica, what do you think of Rusty's Fluke? And she'd be like, I do not know what that is. And then I go, oh, I've made a huge mistake. Okay. Squirrely Matt, do you know Rusty? You're a younger man. What are you? 28, 29?
Oh, that's cute, man. I'm pushing.
I've been flirting with Squirrely Matt the whole
I've been
show.
enjoying it. It's been quite nice. It's
But,
mostly
but are you north or south of 40? Is what I guess.
I'm right on the cusp.
Right on that. Okay. And Victor, you're north of 40. Do you remember Rusty's Fluke?
I wasn't born here, right? So I came here from Soviet Union. I didn't speak a word of English. So I grew up in the 80s, in the mid to late 80s, learning how to speak English from watching WKRP in Cincinnati.
Love it.
And Three's Company. And my first concert was Tiffany. So there's that. So it took me a while.
Was it in a mall?
No, it was at Wonderland. If you remember on Wonderland, you could go and see a concert for $10 every Saturday. So that was me. Anyway, so it was a while until I kind of found myself, and when I finally did, that's I got into Floyd.
But Rusty's like 94.
Yeah. I was like all about. I was trying to convince people, don't go grunge, stay with extreme.
Right.
I was very anti grunge at that time.
You were still listening to Poison.
I was still listening to Poison, but mostly extreme.
Look what the
I
cat
was a
dragged in.
huge extreme fan, and they just
Still are.
and they recently released a new album.
He-Man Woman Hater was a bit heavy jam.
He-Man Woman Hater started off with the Flight of the Wounded Bumblebee, which was pretty incredible at the time. Anyway, all those. But
Do you
by
want
the
to
way,
start an extreme podcast with me?
we could do that. You know
Careful
what?
you wish for, Mike.
It took me 10 years how to play the riff for He-Man Woman Hater properly, and I can now finally do it.
I had that album,
Yeah.
Porno Graffiti.
One of the greatest guitar albums of our time.
But that was my favorite song on the album because everybody was about wholehearted and more than
Decadence,
words.
for me, Decadence Dance was my favorite
Okay.
song. Yeah.
Right. And Get the Funk Out is them, right? I felt like that was... Go ahead.
Oh my God, Brian May himself said
Queen.
that. Brian May from Queen said himself that is the greatest guitar solo ever written.
Because to me, at the time, when it was new and I'd seen how much music, I was thinking, they're trying to be the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Because I was really into Mother's
They
Milk
wish.
at the time.
The Red Hot Chili Peppers, that is. They wish.
Wow. Okay, I love this. We should just talk about that's 80s. Okay.
We can leave you two alone.
Should we leave Al?
Well, Victor and I are starting an extreme podcast, and he had a run as a lead singer of Van Halen, right?
So that's Gary. So Sharon, or however you pronounce. So he did one album with him that Van Halen fans didn't really like too much. But that was Eddie's fault. He was too much of a control freak in there in that one.
Shout out to Ridley Funeral Home.
Yeah, exactly. It was okay. And Gary, he's incredible. For me, it's all about Nuno. Nuno's the true
Betancourt.
genius behind kind of all.
See,
the
I know
music.
that it's Betancourt. That's how
Yeah,
much
it
I know
is.
about
Yeah,
extreme.
Al's a friend.
Because he's Portuguese.
Yeah, that's right. And I got Al's kid into extreme, so I'm very proud of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
How does Tanya feel about that her kid is now into extreme?
She's happy about it. I couldn't get my own kids into it, but I got Al's
Okay,
kids
quick
into
last
it.
question on Van Halen, and then I know we have more clips. I want to thank a couple more sponsors here, and then I have a song loaded up. That's
right.
exciting, right?
Decadence Dance.
David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar?
I don't care.
What do you mean? Do you care about anything, Victor?
Yeah, it's not about them. It's about Eddie Van Halen. Because
you're completely take it or leave it on everything in fucking life, Victor.
You don't understand. You don't understand.
Question.
No.
Okay,
David Lee Roth was incredible performer.
Diamond Dave, absolutely.
Incredible. And I saw him in concert with Eddie and without. Incredible performer. I saw him with Steve Vai, another incredible guitar player. Yes. But if not for Sammy Hagar, then we wouldn't have gotten the other type of Eddie Van Halen. He wrote some of the most incredible riffs.
That one?
Some of the most incredible riffs, the 5150 stuff. Like, you don't understand.
OU812, that was him, right?
Yeah. Incredible guitar riffs that are iconic, that people love today. We wouldn't have gotten if it was still with David Lee Roth. So I think that both are important to the legacy and of Eddie, but it was about Eddie. It wasn't about those two guys.
Al, did I see on social media that there was a reunion of a certain band that played the first 3 Toronto Mike listener experiences?
We had dinner together, yes.
So you didn't play together?
No, we didn't play.
And what was the name of that band?
Royal Pains.
The Royal Pains. So the Royal Pains, you have your project The Weekends.
That's correct.
And you're not going to get back together with the Royal Pains.
We talked about maybe, playing a show or something one day, but no, I don't have the bandwidth for a second band
because of this podcast that you do called The Produce Stand.
This podcast and life, yes.
Lots going on there, your kids and everything. Squirrely Matt, you in any bands?
I am not.
What are your jams?
What are my jams? What music?
Like what would you listen to? What would you grab? So, where Victor was railing against grunge, I was all in on grunge.
Yeah.
I'm still listening to a lot of grunge.
I mean, I've always been all over the map with music, very eclectic. I'm drawn to the classic rock or alternative stuff like that, but you'll see me dipping into anything from country to more chill stuff. Like I'm all over the map. Some of my favorite bands growing up were Bush, Tragically Hip. Oh my God, Everclear was a big one for me when I was young.
And we just talked extensively on the most recent episode of Toast. We were talking about House of Pain. I kicked out a House of Pain song, and we talked about the 3 different kind of career arcs of Everlast. And Whitey Ford Sings the Blues was in my CD player of my '99 Protege when I rear-ended a pickup truck on the 401. And I'll never forget that, because when I eventually got the car back, it was Whitey Ford Sings the Blues.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. All right, before we move on, what are your jams, Tanya?
Oh, I'm like Matt. I'm all over the place. I anywhere from opera to heavy metal to country to just everywhere. Everywhere. Love music, all kinds.
What's your favorite piece of opera?
Oh my.
Puccini?
Ave Maria?
Yeah, probably. That's
very cultured of you. Okay, and you ended up with Al Grego, eh? That's interesting.
He was a singer on stage and brought me pizza. He was.
Well, that would get me. Are you kidding me? Okay, so Al, how many clips do we have left?
I mean, we don't have to go through all of them, but I wanted to play just a couple more instances of the great dialogue that.
Okay, so before you press play and we hear that great dialogue, I would just like to advise the listenership that if they have any electronics devices, cables that they're thinking of throwing out, don't just throw it in the garbage, because those chemicals end up in our landfill. Go to recyclemyelectronics.ca, put in your address, and it says, hey, a couple of blocks away from a depot, EPRA accredited. They'll take it and recycle it properly. It's good for everybody. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. And much love. And I realize here we are on December 29. There might be another episode or two, but they won't be like live recordings like this. But that's it. I guess we take a break with the Monera sponsorship. Is that right, Al Grego?
For now. We'll talk.
Well, let's do it right now. I want the meeting right now while I have you.
I don't have clearance for that yet.
You don't have signature authority. Yeah. Okay. Learn how to plan, invest, and live smarter with the Raymond James The Advantaged Investor podcast. Whether you already work with a trusted financial advisor or currently manage your own investment plans, The Advantaged Investor provides the engaging wealth management information you value as you pursue your most important goals. Let's hear those clips, Al Grego.
Oh. Wait a second. Just because you're talking about recycled chemicals and whatnot, it brings me back to my son when he was 5 years old, and he still has it today, the element bucket. So he and I would go to the science center, the Ontario Science Center, where they let you take stuff apart. And so he would take stuff apart. I'd help him, of course, and he'd bring those raw elements back. And so while other kids had buckets of Legos and superheroes, he had an element bucket that he still has today, where he has a bunch of, and there might be some lead in there, but which
any asbestos in there?
Yeah, might explain what happened to him as a teenager.
Maybe
but
no mercury.
But yeah, actually, we have some mercury. Anyway, so I just it was a bit of a memory there.
I like it when you never know it'll spark a memory, right?
No.
And the whole idea on this show, anyways, I don't know how well structured the produce stand is, but you can go on a tangent as long as you take a mental note to come back to where you were.
This is the kind of content you can look forward to if you listen to the produce stand. Victor talking about elements, trains, what else? Oh, hippos,
guitars.
And I'm sorry, by the way, I apologize that I didn't remember the hippo ad campampaign.
Right? I was you were commenting on my age.
But but if that's an internet mistruth campaign, I actually think it's too recent for me. Like, because when would we be talking about mistruths on the internet? That sounds like something from the last 15 years. Am I right? The hippo?
I don't think it was just about.
Like, I'm more of an 80s PSA guy.
It wasn't about the internet. It was just about mistruths in general.
I know. I don't know how I missed it.
It was in the 90s.
Yeah.
So you remember this, right, Tanya?
I do remember that one, and I'd like to change my answer. I do remember the Heritage Minute where there was a woman in the lecture hall, and she was the only woman, and everyone was snickering and trying to not say the word penis, and she walked up to the front of the classroom and ripped the leaf off of the diagram.
Oh.
Right, and now that you brought back the Heritage Minutes, a couple that I'm just remembering is. Remember the guy who's on the Morse code thing warning about the whatever?
The Halifax explosion.
The Halifax explosion. That gives me chills to think about.
That's crazy.
You know, and he's like, and at the end, like, you know, he perished along with how many other, you know, like he died to warn others of that. And the Underground Railroad. There was a really good Underground Railroad one, and it was like the first time I personally learned about the Underground Railroad.
The most recent one features Michelle Milette from Letterkenny, actress from Letterkenny, about the women's baseball league during the war. So
okay,
look out
League
for
of Their
that.
Own.
Yeah, so
Madonna.
The actress who plays Katie in Letterkenny, she's in that heritage moment.
Okay, long may they run. Okay, Al, the floor is yours. You're connected to the board. I don't know what you're going to play next.
All right, one of the favorite things that as a writer, Jared Kiso writes really well is dialogue between his protagonist and other women. And here's a great example. Everyone loves it when Shoresy and Laura Moore get together.
Laura Moore! Let me just start by saying there is no other place I would rather be in the entire world than right here with you right now.
Hey, Shoresy.
Can't you see I'm just completely taken by it? Like, I've never known a feeling like this.
Let's assemble?
Why are we doing this here when we could be over at 7-Star Dumpling House? Like some fucking bibimbap.
How do they feel about never losing again?
How do you feel about it?
I don't care.
Oh, you are an absolute stallion.
You're a horse face.
I won't rest till I get even a shoulder pat from you.
That would be the most a man has got from me in a very long time, Shoresy.
Hey, you ever been sitting across from someone just trying to have a normal conversation, fighting every urge inside yourself to just scream out, yeah!
Shut the fuck up.
Oh, I've never let myself be so vulnerable with someone before. It feels amazing.
You are a lot, dude.
Got it, I'd be good to you.
Yeah?
Oh, I'd be good to you like crazy.
How good?
Like you wake up in the morning, I'm right there being good to you.
That's actually unsettling.
How do you feel about a couple steaks and some corn on the cob?
With your 4 roommates?
5.
Apologies to Big Sexy.
I'll honor you till the day I die, I swear to God.
From the guy infamous for wheeling 2 of his friends' moms in Letterkenny.
They aren't my friends, and their moms were wheeling me.
Text me the score after the game.
Are you not coming?
Huh? I got my kid this weekend.
Well, no one gets a good story from just a score.
And no one cares.
All right. Kind of like Gilmore Girls dialogue.
You're not the first to make that comparison. Yes.
My first wife used to watch this Gilmore Girls, and I'm like, that's an unnatural speaking pattern. Like the way it's like, it's obviously like it's right away, and it's like there's no gap there. This is like that.
Yeah. And one final clip featuring, I believe, in FOTM. Scott Thompson's been on your podcast.
Nope, only Kevin McDonald.
Oh, okay. I thought. Okay, so
I call him a future FOTM because Scott will eventually be in the basement.
Future FOTM. So this is just a clip that kind of shows off Shoresy's family dynamics. His stepfather is played by Scott Thompson.
Love this guy.
And all of his siblings are adopted children, including himself. Here it is.
Well, you want to know what your social worker said to Dad, Care? Said, you okay with Asians? Dad says, yeah. And she says, well, how about a gay one?
Fuck you, Waffle.
No, Free. That was definitely said.
Something you want to say, Free?
You don't want it, girl. He don't want it.
Free.
Let's get into it, Waffle. Because you're going to hear this.
You're all gonna hear this. I know you all see our engagement rings. I know you're all talking. Those two girls can't be together. It ain't right. Well, guess what? Carrie is not my sister. She's my foster sister, so it's completely fine that we're getting married.
Sounds perfectly fine.
And she was only my foster sister for a year and a half.
Just keep saying your sister's free. It's likely one of those the more you hear it things.
Dad!
You both call him Dad, Care. I mean, it's like...
You were called sisters and brothers on the farm.
Hey, Free, you know any brothers with sisters who fire digits up each other?
But you're not blood. Right? So, I think it's perfectly fine for you to get married, Free.
Thank you.
But you didn't seriously think we weren't going to take the piss out of you, did you?
You're worth it.
Get a room, you fucking sister wife.
So, a little bit of something for everyone.
Now, tell me, Al, how many clips more would you like to play? Because this is the time to drain the swamp.
I mean, I only have one last clip because I didn't want to give away any plot
So,
points.
because I have a
season
song
2.
loaded up, so does it make sense to play the clip and then we'll play the song and then we'll wrap up?
Let's just play the clip and then, we can wrap up with the song because it's an emotional song. We may get Matt crying here.
Good.
This one here is from season 2. It doesn't give anything away from the plot, but it's just a hilarious scene where they're shooting a calendar.
And before you play, I will say, Mike, when we were reviewing season 2, I multiple times talked about how the song selection in Shoresy is a masterclass in song selection.
We'll talk about music for sure. Yes,
we'll talk about music.
Yeah, but first let's do this last clip.
Any extreme on Shoresy?
No extreme, but
not
there's
yet.
There's
They're lost, right?
Rusty,
I'm
there's
working on
Sloan, there's all sorts of Canadian stuff.
Love them all.
Here we go.
What are you doing, my son?
What are you doing?
Your face.
Huh?
Bro.
What's he doing?
What's it look like?
Why does he have his tarp on?
What?
Huh?
Why would he have his tarp off?
Because if I'm abroad looking at a sexy calendar of dudes, I'm probably hoping they have their tarps off.
Your face is orange.
It looks like you ate an Oompa Loompa's mitt.
What the fuck is wrong with you, dude?
You look like the tip of Chester Cheetah's dick, my guy.
Did you get a spray tan?
Well, I thought everybody would have a spray tan.
Why?
Because if I'm abroad looking at a sexy calendar of dudes, I'm probably hoping they have a spray tan.
Settle down.
And what's with the sunglasses?
Me?
Oh my god.
After I got the spray tan, I looked at myself in the mirror and the whites of my eyes were so white it kind of freaked me out.
Does no one else think that this is hilarious?
Want to get lippy?
Just take them off.
Take your top off too. Let's have a look at you.
I'm gonna wait till the grease down to take my tarp off.
Grease down?
Oh my god. So dumb.
Why would you have a grease down?
Because if I'm abroad looking at a sexy calendar of dudes, I'm probably hoping they're greased down.
How is that shade of orange even an option? I mean, it's almost offensive.
Shut the fuck up, Michael.
Is your whole body that color?
Yeah?
Even your junk?
Yeah?
Nice.
They did your junk too.
I did my own junk.
How?
You just take the spray gun and you spray your junk. A monkey could do it.
Did you do your butthole too?
Let's just get these guys greased down and spray tan so we can be done with it.
What?
You want everyone to get a spray tan?
Well, except Dolo.
Why not Dolo?
Well, he can if he wants to. He's included. You're an idiot.
Okay, very good. Very good. Okay, so there's a taste of Shoresy, which we don't have a clue how long it'll run for, but it's got a good long life ahead of it.
Long may they run.
How long is this deal with Bell Media and Jared Kiso, do you know?
49 episodes as of right now.
Yeah.
How many episodes in a typical season of these
6.
shows?
6.
Well, that's it.
Yeah,
It's
they're
like
short.
the British style. That's how the Brits do it with The Office and everything like that.
6 episodes, short episodes. Yeah.
Tanya, how did you enjoy your Toronto Mike debut?
I loved it. Thank you so much, Mike. This was fantastic. I just wish I could have been there in person.
Well, you are getting the lasagna. Make sure Al doesn't keep it all for himself. Make sure it finds its way to the Grego kitchen table.
Is lasagna allowed in a Portuguese house?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Yeah, what is the relationship like between the Portuguese and the Italians?
They're warm. Yeah,
unless you're on the soccer.
I was born and raised in Bradford, so there was a lot of Portuguese and Italians.
I know Bradford.
Playing together, hanging out together. We're friends.
Okay, so shout out to Palma Pasta providing the lasagna. You're all getting, everyone here is getting a lasagna. Great Lakes beer. I got some more beers for you guys. How was your beer? How was your beer, Squirrely Matt? And where does the nickname Squirrely come from?
Squirrely is just a direct reference to Letterkenny. One of the main characters in there is Squirrely Dan, so naturally we needed a Squirrely Matt, I guess.
Squirrely Matt
was anointed upon me.
Yes.
How's your beer?
Fantastic. I'm actually already a fan of Great Lakes Brewery. I buy them on the regular, so I was really excited to see them sitting here at the table, and I think we took too long to open our first can, so but I appreciate it, Mike.
Victor, how are you enjoying your Great Lakes beer?
I think it's great, but to me, all beer tastes the same.
Victor, how come I've never seen
It's so
you?
wrong that you said that.
Yeah, you know what?
Victor.
I think I would last 2 episodes with Victor as my co-host, and I would be done with him.
Yeah, exactly. It's been 3 years. I think we need a medal.
You're over him already. You went through like all the emotional states.
Well, 90 minutes. During this 90 minutes, I went from loving this guy because he loves Toronto Mike, okay, and got introduced to it by Al, and I got the story of how he loves Toronto Mike. Loving this guy. In the end, I'm like, I couldn't co-host an extreme podcast with this man. Like all those plans that I built up in my head, they're gone now, Victor.
Yeah, but we wouldn't be talking about extreme because I'd be talking about bossa nova and all the other stuff I'm into.
Okay, you're Italian. So so your drive, are you going to listen to music or a podcast on your drive home today?
Oh boy. Well, Al's driving me home, so it's whatever. But if I had a control, I probably listen to like a hockey podcast,
Okay.
And then finish off with a little music.
You
with
love
a
your
little-
hockey.
with a
Who's your?
little bossa
What's your? As if I have to ask, what is your hockey team?
The New Jersey Devils.
Is that right?
Yes.
See, I'm shocked.
Right.
No.
Yes. Makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, it's from 1988.
It makes sense a bit. 'Cause they were. He basically banked on a winner. Like our team.
No. It's when Wayne Gretzky said that they were a Mickey Mouse organization. That's when I fell in love with them.
That's all it took.
Yeah, absolutely. And I still remember John McClain scoring the goal to put him into the playoffs in the last game of the season. And I was their fan ever since. And, it was first with Sean Burke and then Martin Brodeur came and they won 3 Stanley Cups ever since.
Brendan Shanahan did play for the.
He did, yes. He was traded
Devils.
for Scott Stevens.
Right, that's a big trade.
Yeah. And Scott Stevens was a big guy for them. So, great team. My favorite team is the Devils. Obviously, I follow the Leafs just because I live here, but
But you do realize, and I have this chat, like I have buddies who grew up in the Junction, and they're like they're Bruins fans, and I always have the same chat, which is this: okay, when the Leafs, if the Leafs ever win again, because it's 1967 was before all of our time, but if they could put it together, right?
No.
Get the right goaltending, it could happen theoretically. Like, let's say they go on a run, and let's say they win the Stanley Cup. This city's going to go bananas. You remember 2019 of the Raptors, right?
Yeah.
We're going to have millions of people spilling on the street for parades. But you're going to be like this sad, lonely Devils fan.
No,
who's
no,
like,
I root for the Leafs.
So
I live here, but
you're hedging your bets. Okay.
Yeah.
So when the Devils win the Stanley Cup, which they've won multiple times.
3 times, yeah.
Right.
And they've been to the finals.
There's no fucking there's no parade in thank you, Robert Lawson. Listen, there's no parade in Toronto. Like there's nothing for you. Do you go online in the subreddit for the Devils?
Listen,
and go, we did it.
I was in a Blue Jays parade. I don't need to do that again. I was the first year they won. I was down
92.
there. I was amongst the people. I remember it like it was yesterday. Year 2, we went down there, but stayed in our car and celebrated.
93.
And then we went to the pub afterwards. I was there for the Raptors and ran away when the shooting started, and had to walk home because the subway stopped.
Shout out to Brian Gerstein.
And then I had enough with it. I said, you know what, fuck people. So I don't need to be amongst the people in the parade. Who the hell cares? It's enough to have the bragging rights and to enjoy that your team's winning.
Tanya, if you were in charge of your own podcast, The Produce Stand, would you fire Victor? Be honest.
Victor brings a flair like no other, and I know one of these days I will win the MVP Victor nominee.
Yes.
At some point, I've got to be closer to his choices. So yes, I would still keep
What
him.
a diplomat you married, Al. Like I'm listening, I'm like, oh, she's good.
Oh yeah, she has to be. She's got Portuguese in-laws.
Did she?
Tanya's my favorite on the podcast.
Well,
she's many people's
That's a low
favorites,
bar.
yes.
That's like being the world's tallest midget. Okay. I don't even think you can say that anymore. I have to edit that.
You just canceled yourself.
You can say dwarf though.
Little people, I think.
Thanks for canceling yourself on our episode there, Mike.
I take it back. I take it back. I don't think you can say the M word. Okay, I know in hockey, my kids now at under 11, like they've got rid of all those words. Now, to get politically correct again, as I prefer here, how was this, Victor, your Toronto Mike debut? Everything you hoped it would be?
Yeah, I think it's cool. I'm sitting in a chair that probably some really cool people sat
Steven,
in.
oh, that chair no one sits in. 'Cause
Oh,
you got
God
the
damn.
temporary chair. But Stephen Page was just right there. Chris Murphy was just right there.
What about Hodge?
Rick Emmett. Didn't Rick... Oh, you...
No, Rick Emmett was a Zoom.
I was going to say...
Oh,
But he
Rick
was
Emmett
great.
was incredible.
Oh,
Trent.
I think you would have liked... what's the guy from Q107, the guitarist? Kim Mitchell.
Yeah, Kim Mitchell.
Kim Mitchell is not from Q107.
No, but he was. I know. He was.
That's not what he's
in
known
Al's
for.
defense,
I know it's what he was on.
Kim and I bowled at the same bowling alley. There you go.
Together?
And by the way, Kim Mitchell has got two of the greatest guitar riffs ever. You know, the Going Out for a Soda and Rock and Roll Duty are two
Go
riffs.
for soda. Yeah, no A. in
Shut
there.
up. And I, you know, that was one of the first few riffs that I've learned how to play on a guitar. I love. And,
You know what? I can take or leave Victor, but right now I would take him.
And he's the only popular musician that plays the HM Strat, the heavy metal Strat, the same guitar that I have, which is, you know, so he kindred spirit that way. Love Kim Mitchell.
Love to hear it. Okay, and you have the same amount of hair.
Yeah, he and I are both okay with that.
Yeah. Squirrel Matt, what do you got under that hat? You got any good hair under there?
I've got a full head of hair, which I get
So
yelled at.
why are you hiding it?
Because I love my hats, man.
You can grow it. You should show
I've
it.
got. You want to see it?
I just want to confirm. Oh yeah, he does have a head of hair.
It's there.
Okay.
It's
So
there.
Squirrely, how was your Toronto Mike debut?
It was awesome, man. I'm a little surprised it took us 3 hours to get here, Mike. I know we had
Al
we
only
had
asked,
an in.
When did Al ask me if the TPS crew could come on?
I didn't ask. You reached out.
Oh, you yes, okay. You posted on social media that clip we played.
It was
off the top.
organic.
Well,
and it was like I heard Victor's voice saying in the first episode of this award-winning podcast, which by the
Mike-
time people hear this, it'll be true.
I know. I like to bank my favors, and I wasn't going to use a favor up on this.
Well, you know, you had me at hello, cuddly one. It's all good here.
You were harder to get than Kiso.
Oh, by the way,
you landed Kiso before you got on Toronto Mike. That's what it took. Okay.
Toronto Mike,
Yeah.
before, in case that was the
Well, I'm gonna play a
go
song,
around.
and then we're gonna do a little-
So in case that was a go around, I want to take this opportunity to plug my daughter, who is on Spotify, Natalie Rosalina. Everybody go and check it out.
I'm glad you got your
got
plug in
music.
there because we plug the hell out of this podcast called The Produce Stand, which is available everywhere you get podcasts. And if somebody wants to join your Discord server, what do they do?
They should just reach out to me on any social media, and I will send them an invite.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you can't find them, just reach out to me and I'll connect you to Al, and then Al will put you. This is how it's going to work. This is the community we have, the TMU, and you could join the universe. Okay, and Tanya, what a pleasure it is. I kind of wish you were here, but the pink guy thing, that's just a shitty happenstance there. But so maybe you're better there. But it was great to have you on the program. Squirrely Matt, I know we met at a TMLX event, but it was great to get you on. Victor, great to meet a fan of the show. This is because I don't think Squirrely Matt's ever listened to the show unless Al,
I listened
Al was
to
on
the last couple days knowing I was coming for preparation.
Prep yourself.
purposes.
Which
Yeah.
ones did you listen to?
I listened to the Jason Priestley.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. The great one himself. Al Grego, always a pleasure. You've been on many times. You'll be on again. I do hope that Maneras returns for promoting season 6 of Yes, We Are Open. Is that a possibility?
I think it's a definite possibility.
Let's get stronger language in there.
So there's a chance.
So there's a chance. So you're telling
More
me
than
there's
a
a
chance.
chance. Yes.
You want me to press play on this song? I've
Mike,
got
you've been
loaded?
a great partner to Maneras and to TPS, and we appreciate your time.
I got a new T-shirt to wear for the
Thank
pictures.
you so much. Best of luck tonight. I know you don't care whether or not you win
No,
this
I didn't
award.
say that. I said I'd rather win than lose. Like I just wish I had a better understanding of what it is. Like, you know, you're all into the spin. Like you're in the marketing department. Like we won an award. Bullshit baffles brains. Award winner. Oh my God. Because I know when I said I was nominated for this Canadian Podcast Award, I can't tell you how many congrats I got. And I'm getting all these congrats and I'm like, oh, like they're congratulating me on being like nominated for an award they didn't know existed. Like it didn't matter what it was. I was nominated for something. So I do hope I win tonight because then I will post on social media that I won the Canadian Podcast Award. I beat Larry Fedoruk, and then people will be saying, congrats, Mike. Couldn't happen to a better host. Long overdue. All that kind of bullshit.
Well, good luck with you tonight. We're going to be watching it as well as a group, and with our fingers crossed.
Can you text me if I win?
Sure.
And if I lose.
Can I make one more comment for you? I do want to thank. I do want to thank you, Mike, because my suspicion is we wouldn't be here today if you weren't doing what you do. because I know Al loves...
I have the same suspicion.
Well, Al loves this industry. He loves... He's extremely amazing.
I would go further than this, Squirrely. I don't think any of your community, your podcast, your community, the Discord, none of it exists without the Toronto Mike's universe and what we built here in Toronto Mike's.
Exactly.
Is that correct,
Take your
Al?
flowers, Mike. Take your flowers.
I got a T-shirt instead. Sorry to interrupt you, Squirrely.
No, that's all I was saying. I mean, it's been amazing, and I know you've supported him as we've grown in the background, and I'm thankful to be here. And
Some weirdo says he wants to come over and look at your shit. You're like, come on in, buddy. And he looked cuddly, and I said, let's go. Let's get this done, because I'm going to play a song, and then we're going to wind it down.
Tanya's unaware of my nickname.
But does Tanya...
No, she doesn't know.
Tanya, how long you guys been married? Tanya, how long you been married?
23 years.
See, that's a long time, because I don't think you're older than 35
6 years
old.
before that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's
29 years together.
Do you think Al is particularly cuddly, or is he just like a regular, normal, healthy amount of cuddly?
He's a bear.
Very cuddly.
He's more cuddly than the average bear, right?
Papa bear. Yeah.
He's pretty cuddly. I mean, that's why I hired him.
And are you comfortable?
Jesus Christ.
Because what's happening now is because Al comes to almost every single TMLX event. How many have you missed, Al?
1.
So you're 13 for 14.
That's right.
Will you be at TMLX 15 on June 27?
Yeah, I just heard about it yesterday. So yes, I'll be there.
Will Tanya be there?
Hopefully, if there's no pink eye.
If the eyes aren't burning in bleach or whatever the hell is going on there.
Never to her event and she can wear glasses.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to play a song. I don't even know what I'm playing. I'm going to play it. It's got a pretty title.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, I'll read the room here when I should fade this down, and maybe you can tell me what we're listening to. But we're going to close with a song. I'll do that again.
He's uptight, he don't know nothing new. Well, he ain't cheap, he just can't afford to. But she don't mind.
So this is
He's her everything.
This is the closer to season 1 on Shoresy, where they're diving into their last game. I don't want to give anything away, but it's a big moment for them. And this song is playing in the background in a series of hockey scenes. So it's not something you expect playing over a pretty intense hockey game, but this is a very pivotal moment in the entire season.
So this is a screen-enhanced jam. Like, you listen to this and you're taken back to that moment in the season finale of Shoresy.
Absolutely. And
does even Victor like this song?
I think the song is fantastic.
Yeah. They use music in ways you'd never expect I think in both shows, but Shoresy more in particular.
Who's the artist performing this song called True Love, if you're looking for it?
Oh my God, I'm blanking out.
It's Tobias, is it Gesso Jr.?
Tobias Gesso Jr.? Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay. And you guys mentioned earlier that the music that you hear on Letterkenny and Shoresy, or is it just... Okay.
So Jared Kiesel chooses all the music for both shows. He's a master at this. Both shows also really feature prominently great musical montages often, and they've perfected it to add emotional heaviness to the scenes, and this is a great example of that. But when Matt says that he picks music that you wouldn't expect, think about there's a big brawl scene that he sets to disco music, and you would think it wouldn't fit, but it does. And he's such a master at that. He's it's music first for him. He writes his scenes with music in mind, which is amazing.
And when we talked to him, he did talk about how there's nothing better in life than finding your new favorite song. And he keeps all the music he finds in mind around scene selection. And we spoke to the editor as well, and he talked about when they'd come in that he would say exactly which second to which second he wants a certain scene to play. Like, he has it all in his head as he's playing it out and as he's writing it. So he writes for the music.
Tanya, what do you think of True Love?
Oh, it's a beautiful song.
Oh, not the song. I mean with Al Grego.
The award-winning podcaster.
Sorry, back to the song.
Yeah, there are so many beautiful songs. Like I go as far as to saying it's almost like the whole thing is a string of a musical. Like it's just one great music number, and the punches, the hits, everything is timed out so perfectly well. Whether it's a fast song or a slow song, he'll slow down the shot just for it to land on the timing of the music and the melody.
Amazing. On the live stream, live.torontomike.com, YYZ Gord says that this is a great song even without the context.
Correct. Yeah, it's a beautiful song.
He also points out, Al, he's visiting your motherland. I know you were born in Canada, but you're...
yeah, he's in Lisbon right now. Yes.
Okay, so shout out to Portugal. I want to shout out a couple more people on the live stream. Lieve Fumpka is on the live stream. I know she's a big D-Gen.
She is. Her and Juan.
And Moose Grumpy is here. Moose Grumpy enjoys the shows, but hasn't quite figured out Discord yet. So maybe if you give Moose Grumpy a little 101 on Discord, she'll be there. And damn it, you guys were great, man. I'm so glad that you shouted me out in episode number 1 and that we finally made this happen. How many years later? How many episodes are there of the Produce Stand?
Was it 200 and I forget now. Yeah. 212, 213, something like that. I forget. We're not quite at 1400 yet.
That's crazy.
We're getting there.
Did any of you want number 1400? Because it was a bit of we weren't sure how these chips were going to fall for a little bit, but you guys ended up 1401. Any of you wish that you had 1400?
No, it's like Price is Right. You bid $1 over and you're that much better.
Like I said, my preference would have been something on the 69, but we're away from that.
Maybe you'll come back for 1469.
There we go.
Well, thank you all. Like all of you. This is what I would say. I would rather you guys win tonight than I win tonight. Like I feel like the Produce Stand winning an award tonight would excite me more than if I win 1 or 2 awards tonight. So I wish you guys much luck tonight.
Thank you.
We could both win.
Yeah.
We can all be
Yeah, we're in different categories.
Exactly. Let's do that.
I think it's amusing to me. I'm in a category with another TMDS podcast. I'm in a category with Larry Fedorik's podcast later that same night. Like 2 of the 5 nominees are TMDS productions.
I mean, already you can tout that on your masthead. Like, yeah.
That's why I want to know more about what I'm touting. Okay. So maybe you can introduce me via a different channel than Discord. Maybe he doesn't like Discord DMs. Maybe if you send me an email and I can introduce to this guy behind the Canadian Podcast Awards. But thank you very much. Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Squirrely Matt with 1 T.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Victor. Shout out to Extreme.
What it is.
And thank you, Al Grego, award-winning podcaster.
Thanks,
it's been a pleasure talking about Moneris's fine podcast that you produce for them. And I hope in 2024 we can do it again. And that brings us to the end of our 1,401st show. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky. I'm at Toronto Mike. Where would you send people, Al, if you wanted them to, I don't know, learn more about the Produce Stand?
At Produce Stand Pod on all social media outlets. That's Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, even Blue Sky.
Even Blue Sky.
What's Twitter?
Shitter.
Much love to all who made this possible. That's Great Lakes Brewery. That's Palma Pasta. Don't leave without your lasagnas, as if there's a risk of that happening. Raymond James Canada, Moneris, Recycle My Electronics, and Ridley Funeral Home. Did I give you guys your measuring tapes? Okay, we're doing it now.
5.15 inches.
I had the under, so I lost that bet here. Make sure you bring that measuring tape home to
Tanya,
to your wife Tanya. There. Okay, so shout out to Ridley Funeral Home. They're right around the corner, 14th and Lakeshore. See you all. I think the next episode, I have to put together an FOTM KOTJ about songs you love, but you didn't realize were covers when you fell in love with them, and then later you realize they're covers. So I have to do that. And there's also a Ridley Funeral Home Memorial episode coming because we're at the end of the month. So one of those 2 will be the next episode. See you all then.